So,
what episode is this, Chad?
let's do it in the right order. Episode 84.
84.
Of Slappercast, a weekly talk show with Blaggards.
Mm-hmm.
Today, our special guest is going to be... Take it away, Patrick.
Why do I have to say it?
Because you're the boss.
Because you know her.
Do the intro.
No, I'm just kidding. We're very excited. We have a good friend of mine I've known for years. Her name is Cindy Heywood. Yeah, Cindy and I work together. Cindy and I have we know all the same people, of course, because of our many years of trepsing around Houston. So so we're in September, still in September. I think it's been September now for
seems like a while,
6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
But so we're stuck in September, and
Do you
we're
remember?
yeah, and so with our many years of knowing the same people and running around the same spots, and we started talking about September being Suicide Awareness Month. She said, we should talk about that. I said, that's great. It'd be a little heavy. And she said, yeah, it's heavy, but it's important, and it's and it doesn't have to be. So she's written a book, and she works on this, and she has her Facebook page, which is called Suicide Talks with a Z. So yeah, so this is this will be a little different than we're used to, but like I said, I'm dying for you guys to meet her. Chad's met her before.
Mm-hmm.
She came out many moons ago to the
been a
Beverly,
while, yeah.
And with Rick, and
yeah,
her
out at the Beverly, Beverly Pub in the good old days.
Yeah. So I think we should bring her in. Come on down, guest number one.
Let's do it.
Hi.
Good morning.
How are you? Good morning to you.
There's Rick. Hello, Rick. Look at that.
Hi.
Excellent. So let me introduce you to my left, to your whatever.
Right. Yes.
Eric C. Hughes on drums. Can you see anybody? You can't see anybody.
Hello. I got a face for radio. Hello.
Same here, I think.
They never let the drummer get on screen for some reason.
Exactly.
Or mics or stage.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Anyway, nice to meet you.
Good to see you all.
Yeah, and then of course you know Chad.
Yes, I do. Good to see you.
It's been a long time. It's good to see you again.
It has years.
You haven't aged a day, my dear. Not a day.
Ditto. Right back at you.
Yeah.
It's just a number.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a number.
So I was trying to do, while we were wiring this up, well, I say we were wiring it up. We were laughing at Chad as he wired it up. We're just, giving the lads a brief history, but we've known each other for, early 90s, right?
Right, Artusi. Well, before that, Outback.
Yeah, Outback. So that's about. So you were working
30 plus years.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And and it's just crazy because all the bands that we knew. Because now, so going back to that time, the Outback, all those bands, it was a big incestuous puddle of
yes, it was
of
big
noise,
puddle of love, basically.
Yeah. and
of course. No one had any idea that the bartender behind the bar would end up being the leader of an incredibly successful band one day. Nobody had any clue that you would end up being who you turned out to be.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I kept it quiet. That's it.
You did. Very.
And what band is this exactly?
Yeah. Iron Maiden.
Iron Butterfly.
Yes.
On the dole.
Yeah, but I used to, not only did I book all the bands for the Outback for many years, but put Bedspring Kiss together and performed out on the patio many times, performed inside many times. So, and it's funny, Lynette says hello, by the way. Lynette Gordon,
lovely.
I had lunch with her yesterday. We talked about you a little bit. So, just speaking about the old Richmond Strip days and Sherlock's and just the whole 30 plus years of experience. It's just unbelievable where it's all evolved to.
Yeah.
Which brings us to now, and just like a paralyzation of the entertainment industry that's unprecedented for sure in my lifetime anyway. And I started playing in clubs in Houston when I was 17. Wow. So, I mean, the only thing I can remotely compare it to is the oil crash that happened in the early 80s, and you couldn't get a gig. I mean, everybody was waiting tables. Everybody was scattering around trying to make a buck because you just could not perform out. The clubs just had no money. And it was a life-changing time for everybody. I mean, I was making fantastic money up till then. I was in a party band. I was in a bunch of different bands doing really well. And we just crashed right into a brick wall because the club owners just had no money. Everybody was getting DJs or just doing nothing at all. And it was a life-altering time, and everyone scattered and just tried to figure out what to do. And it was really years, I would say 2 or 3 years before things began to get anything remotely like normal. And, everybody had to break down into duos and solos and, very much like what's been happening here.
Yeah.
So, it's incredibly difficult and challenging, but it's not the first time that, we've gone through this in Houston and entertainment. By far, this is way worse than what happened in the early 80s, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the worst part here is, as I've spoken with Patrick before, there's just such an uncertainty of the future here. I mean, I still worry that we haven't even seen the bottom of this yet. And, and having lunch with Lynette yesterday and just really understanding where so many club owners wear their heads at, and just everyone's so uncertain about how to proceed. We definitely all understand that we should respond. And everyone wants to be an innovator. But why go be an innovator and create this entirely new thing if maybe 6 months down the road we're going to get a groove going again? No one knows what to do. And where to put the few resources they have left, going forward. How do you plan on this thing? Where do you put down your stake and claim your ground? I mean, everyone's just, it's really incredible. And that's kind of why I wanted to talk about where our heads are at here.
Yes.
Because people are so frazzled. They are not themselves. They're quick to temper. We're pushed up against something here and nobody talks about it. We're just carrying on, doing our day-to-day lives, when in reality, we're in grief. Yeah. As a society, we're in deep grief. We are in mourning for a culture that doesn't exist anymore. And we're all very, very worried about where this is going to evolve to, where this is going to land up. And no one's talking about it. And so we're all walking around with all of the same result.
There's zero. There's zero places to there's not a platform, and there's not there's nobody that can come in with a solution. So people come in and rub his belly, he's going to be okay.
Yes.
But there's nobody, there's nobody to but I want to start with you. I want to start with you a little Cindy Heywood history. So where are you from? You're not from Houston.
Originally California on the West Coast. Yeah. But I was, I think I was like 7 years old when we came to Houston. My dad got a job with the credit bureau. And so we came out to Houston. So really, I mean, like when I fell in love with music and just wanted to start performing, I was like singing with, the band competitions, singing competitions when I was like 15 and 16. And then, the minute I graduated, I was like a bat out of hell, I mean, I just couldn't wait to get on stage. I couldn't wait to get involved in that community because those were my people, and they still are.
Are you still singing?
Occasionally we did. Rick and I put together a retirement home, a little duo. We were going around for people with memory care issues and dementia. Yes. It turns out that them hearing songs that they grew up loving give them incredible joy. Oh, yeah. They connect somehow. They may not recognize their own husband or even their own children, but they recognize a Doris Day song from 1964. Yeah. And and it connects to such a joyous time for them, a time when their life was so simple and carefree. And, once I saw the expression on those people's faces the first time we performed, I was like, this is what I'm going to do forever.
Yeah, fantastic.
Give these people some joy. And so we did that for years. And then it kind of, the facilities didn't have the budget anymore. And we kind of just got phased out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at right now. I've put other projects to go together that really have nothing to do with music or singing.
Yeah.
But I've still, and of course, writing the book took several years.
Yes. Yeah.
The book that ended up on Amazon actually was like a third generation. I had tried many different ways of kind of talking about my own journey with depression, which really started with anxiety disorder when I was a kid. And none of us knew what we were looking at, when I was young, and I just had anxiety attacks. And we did, this is before, my mom always says, before Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Phil, nobody talked about this crap. Nobody really understood mental illness in like the 60s and early 70s. But, with that anxiety disorder that nobody really paid attention to was sort of like a seed that grew into a tree of misery, later, in life for me. And, I started drinking to basically deal with anxiety. It was my way of sort of putting that girl to bed so that a new girl shows up that's not such a, stressed out freak that nobody can be around. And, next thing you know, you're living a life of servitude to addiction.
Mm-hmm.
You're not free. You are not free when you're an addict.
Yeah.
To anyone, because the decisions you're making have to do really with maintaining your addiction.
Yeah.
Not going out, meeting people, having relationships, making free choices. And no one understands you're signing up for a life of servitude when you become an addict. And it's very hard to get out of that life. And that's really what I wrote the book about, is about my struggle with addiction, how it all started, and how I conquered it. And also just talking about, life stories where there is not really a clear-cut happy ending. Everybody doesn't hug. It's not like the Waltons and everything's fixed. But you still have to fix yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to be right with yourself so that you're not a miserable human being hating your life. I don't care about everybody else. We're all responsible to do our own work. What I care about is people who don't get the happy ending. And I mean, we did therapy the whole nine. Therapy actually made it worse. Therapy, really? We all bared our souls. We said horrible shit to each other, and we never forgave each other for the things that were said in therapy. So in my case, It was not the thing that solved everything. We didn't all hug in the parking lot and go, now I love you.
Yeah.
It's like, now I realize just how much I really resent you and will never forgive you,
Wow.
that kind of thing.
Wow.
You don't want that ending. Nobody does.
God.
But if you do get that ending, love yourself. You did your best to have a different outcome. And if it doesn't work, love your life, love yourself. That's what I'm all about. Hard crap happens in life sometimes.
Yeah.
It's hard to digest. It's hard to get past. But do your work and do it so that you can live happily ever after. And hopefully everybody will. You might not be together, but still love your life, love yourself. Get in the driver's seat of your car. And instead of letting other people drive, and so that's really what I wrote the book about. I didn't get the happy ending. We didn't hug and be the Waltons, but I did get the happy ending in that I really fell in love with myself.
Yeah.
And forgave myself for the places where I was weak and couldn't do better because I was just in the throes of my own addiction and my own bullshit, basically.
Yeah.
We get caught up in stuff, and you got to forgive yourself.
Yeah, I mean that's brilliant. And again, I've so we're going to put a link to the book on here, obviously, and I want to talk more about that. So just kind of to tie all this stuff in, so going back to back when I knew again. So we were saying right before you came on that this is September and this is Suicidal Awareness Month.
Yes, it is.
And the smart ass in me wants to say it's just our proximity to Dallas, but in real life, this is something, because I mean, so what I'm getting at is, going back all those years, you don't know. You don't know. You look at each other, and you just don't know what's going. You don't know the struggle that people are carrying. And I often, with two kids now behind the wheel, I tell them, I say, look, you just don't have the luxury that we had as kids to get out of your car and scream at somebody, or to you know what I mean. You don't have that luxury anymore, because the people that you're in traffic with, the people that are in that 2 tons of metal behind you. They're not in a really good place right now, and it doesn't matter. It's affected everybody. It doesn't matter if your life didn't change at all. So anyway, so we go back to when I first met you. I have no idea, and I'm just so lucky to be. I always seem to be surrounded with the best musicians that there are available. Yeah. I mean, it just and again, kids, if you're starting a band tomorrow, just go get better players than you. Problem solved. All right. So it's true. So going back,
you were doing Elvis songs when I met you.
I know you sang for me. You sang for me
in impersonation.
Yes. I had 3 backups.
That's when I first knew that you could pick up a guitar and actually strum a few chords. You were singing Elvis Presley.
Yes. Still, man, I would do that today if your old folks ever need an Elvis regurgitator.
Yes.
So back then I would never have guessed. I would never have guessed that anything was going on, because you were just, Bed Spring Kiss. I remember Joel, and I remember, going out on the patio and just hearing this. I mean, amazing voice. I mean, and just a sin. If you, I mean, truly, Davy Bryan. I'm just never. So once he heard you sing, it was just,
we did a duo together for a while at Sherlock's, actually.
Oh, what do you have to say about that, Chad?
Yeah. Monday nights, we were always trying to build up off nights. Yeah. And get a decent following going. And so I'd already kind of created a group of groupies that were following Bedspring. Yeah. And so, I did all kinds of open mic things. Yes. I recall. At Woodrow's. And, I was gigging 4 nights a week and still pulling down a 40-hour week with Dennis Lang. Yeah. So, I had an extremely busy life. And it's funny that you say, you never know what someone's going through, because I'll be really honest with you. I think I met you in 92. Wow. I think.
That sounds about right.
Holy crap.
When I go back, I believe that's the first time I met you. And I didn't even understand myself yet where things were going to go. In 1992, I had just come back from basically working overseas for almost 5 years. I worked for Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. Yes. And so I didn't even have a home on land for years. And so I basically got dropped back into American society after not being in America at all for a really long time. And pretty much when I came back from being overseas is when my serious unraveling kind of started. Oh. And when I worked for Dennis and when I knew you, I was sort of like, I understood that my anxiety disorder was returning. I understood that things were getting a little off, but I had no idea where this was all going to go. And that 10 years later, like I came back to the United States in 1990. By 2000, my family was an absolute wasteland. Wow. We had just been put through the ringer. Everything exploded. And so 10 years later, I was in a completely different situation than I could have ever foreseen. I never would have dreamed when I was working for Dennis that only a few years later, I wouldn't be able to get out of bed for days from depression. If you had told me, if anyone had said in 3 years, you are going to be literally going to 12-step groups so that you don't blow your brains out. No, I would never believe them. I would never believe them. But the course that my life took, and it really did have to do with my upbringing and a bunch of unresolved things that, I wasn't even aware of some of the things that ended up I learned about my childhood and about my family. And once all these bombshells sort of came to the surface, we all had to figure out how we're going to respond to this information, and unfortunately, instead of it being the glue that brought us all together, it was the grenade that caused us all to scatter. Unfortunately, and like I said, that's why I wrote the book. So sometimes your spirit, it just demands to be heard. And I believe that that's what was happening with me. That's how I ended up in bed and just really in my own head, because this stuff had to be revealed. These secrets that had been buried in my family for decades that I never even knew. But I felt it. I felt all this history, and then it all just had to be brought to the surface so that I could get well and get in control of my life. Because the addiction was in control, the anxiety, because every time the anxiety disorder would come back, I'd go back to the drinking. So I was stuck in this vicious cycle of trying to manage my own self. But you can't win that war. The only way to win is you've got to elevate. You've got to understand where this is all coming from. And once everything came out into the open, I completely understood it and understood how I got like that. But unfortunately, we did not survive as a family. And I always hesitate to say that to anyone because people should go to therapy. There's so much good that comes from it, but I hate to tell people that in my case, it was the last nail in the coffin. But everybody went and did their life, and I hope they're all happy. I haven't seen or spoken to anyone in my family in over 15 years.
Wow. Yeah,
it's
so
horrible.
something like that.
I feel terrible about it.
Well, something like that is traumatic for somebody to hear that's maybe taking the first step towards it. That would be true. But at the same time, if you can preface it with, taking care of yourself first and just be at peace with yourself first. Yes. If you can start there, then they know that that at least you're still upright. You're still
right.
At that point. So
well, yeah, and everything in life is not a one size fits all either. So
right.
Therapy can't
That's it.
It can work for some, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for anybody else.
Correct. And I think the other thing too is had we all done that way sooner, I think it would have had a totally different outcome. But by the time we were all willing to go to therapy, we were just a mess.
Yeah.
It really, and we were all fully grown adults with very strong opinions about things. We should have all been in therapy together decades prior.
Yeah. But how do you know? There's no, like Eric says, there's no, and one size fits all is for everything. I love these diets that appear on, people go, oh, you should try this diet. No, your metabolism is completely different than the other part. So that diet doesn't mean anything to you. You go out and eat rocks for all I care. They're not, you're not the same. And that's the same for the headspace too. You can't be can't be prescribed the same shit that somebody else gets for exactly. If I take nothing else from today, that's what I'm.
Yeah, but like I said, it always, on the suicide prevention forums, I'm always talking to people that are in therapy, and I always encourage them to stay in.
Yeah.
Just because my story went the way it went, I don't really, I will own my part of how it all went, and everybody has to own their part of how it all went. But to me, we all did end up where we were meant to end up. And I'm at peace with that, and everyone should follow their story to its conclusion, to their logical conclusion. And the conclusion is when you can make peace and be free in your own skin. So anyway, that's the thing that I always I love telling my story to people because I really always want to say, never, ever give up and think that your situation is hopeless, because you can't be more hopeless than I was.
Yeah.
And I'm here, and I'm not just here. I'm thriving. I'm happy. I love people. I love places. I love my dog. I love.
Yeah.
And so I really always tell people, because I talk to hopeless people daily. And I just always, say, look, the place you live in your head right now, you won't live there anymore. There's a way out. There's a different world waiting for you. Do not give up on yourself.
That's huge. That's so heavy. It's so big, but it's attainable. That's something that you can walk away with today, and be in it. So you have the online forums. So on Facebook, it's Suicide Talks with a Z.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So and
yes.
you that's your page.
Yes, it is. I created it. I actually created it before the book, because what was happening is, I was a mentor on several prevention forums, and I was really struck by what was happening with young people. I mean, I'm talking 13 and 14-year-old people that are hopeless already.
Yeah.
And it was heartbreaking to me. And I definitely wanted people like that to have a way to watch the videos, to actually see people talk about their struggles with depression, anxiety, suicidal thinking, how that manifested in their lives, and how they eventually turned things around and created a new world for themselves. Because it can happen. These are real people. And so I created these, and there's tons of videos on there from all different vantage points of the issue of hopelessness, the illusion of powerlessness. There are certain things for sure we are powerless over. And understanding what those are is an incredibly important piece of work that needs to be done in anyone's life, because if you're spending a ton of energy pursuing goals that are completely not within your grasp, you're not using your energy to move towards the things that you can control, where you can make a difference. Understanding the difference between wasting your energy doing things that you're never gonna have that. That's a huge leap forward to understand. No, don't waste your energy doing that. That's beyond your grasp. These are the things you can work on. This is the direction you can go to. And that's why I created these videos. I'm in a bunch of videos talking about my own journey with depression. There's at least a dozen participants that I'm so grateful that they were willing to talk about these incredibly painful times in their past, so that it might help somebody get to a new place in their own lives, and half of these videos, they're in tears.
Yeah.
Because this is truly the dark night of the soul experiences, when you're literally like counting off the days, wanting to just not be in life anymore. These are not happy memories. And I think that's why so few people ever really talk about deep depression and how that hopelessness just manifests itself in every aspect of your life, and your relationships, and your pursuing careers. Why bother? If you're planning to just get off the ride anyway, who cares?
Yeah. That's big, man. That's and like Eric says, there's not a one size fits all. However, there's so many correlations. There's so many things that can help so many people in in just in those those few sentences of, there's so much information, there's so much to digest. And the book is Super Invisible Me, or Super Invisible Nobody. Excuse me. Nobody.
Yeah,
yes. So
is the name of the book.
So and you started you started these forums before the book.
Yes.
And then
really the forums is why I wrote the book.
Yeah.
Because,
so when did you?
I understood that people were trying to resolve conflicts with people and they couldn't.
Yeah.
And that's why they wanted to check out. And I'm like, wait, you might not get the happy ending. But your story is about you. Your love for yourself. Where are you for yourself? And that's where the term invisible nobody came from, is that there is no inner loving relationship. When you're all alone, there's no one there. You're having conversations with yourself. And if those conversations are demeaning and degrading and your relationship with yourself is essentially an incredibly dark, black, hateful relationship, you're definitely not going to say to yourself, you know what, you're thinking crazy thoughts, get in your car, drive to the emergency room and tell them that you feel like you're going to hurt yourself so that they can take care of you for a few days. You're not going to do that. You're just going to do the self-destructive thing.
Yeah.
Because your inner thinking is self-destructive. And so that's where the term invisible nobody, there's no kind person inside of these people's mind that's going to say, wait, you're talking crazy here. Let's go ahead and back off. You're not really an angry person. You're a loving person. That whole conversation's never going to happen because you're invisible to yourself.
Wow.
That's where the term came from.
Yeah, that's heavy.
And I was invisible to myself, and it breaks my heart to look back at what a hateful dialogue I had in my own head. How I just really could not see my own worth because I'd just gotten caught up in other people's perception of me and owned their perception as my perception of myself.
Oh, wow.
And so you become invisible to yourself. And that's who I talk to every day is people who have just given up on themselves. And I always encourage them, look, you just can't see yourself clearly right now. So let me see you clearly and tell you what a valuable person you are on this earth and remind you that you're just not your right self right now. And you don't need to make any major decisions. You just need to go get some help.
Wow. Because we all know people that have, and it's not, is this true? It's not called committing suicide anymore. It's achieved suicide. Is that correct?
That's correct. Well, there are those who, and I'm not sure. To me, say it however you're going to say
however
it.
It comes out, because it's not
an issue.
Yeah,
I'm not going to quibble over minutia or semantics. But just say it, and it's funny, Patrick, like you just said, you don't know who you're talking to. It's funny. You didn't know who you were talking to,
Yeah.
you didn't. And really, I didn't either. And one of the reasons why I created Suicide Talks on Facebook is because all of the latest information, because technology is constantly trying to respond to suicidal depression, especially right now with what's happening with the military and with police officers. It is an incredibly horrible epidemic happening right now that very few people are talking about. Every single day, members of our military are making these horrible choices.
Yeah.
They see no hope. They see no meaning in their existence. And so technology and all kinds of incredibly fantastic groups at warp speed are trying all kinds of different things to figure out how we can head this off, how we can begin to change the direction of this. And I created Suicide Talks as like a hub. This is all the latest information. This is exactly what they're working on right now. Not just drugs, but actual treatment for PTSD, all kinds of different treatments, and it's a main place where you can get all the latest resources. Like now, you can literally pick up your phone and chat in real time with a psychiatrist. I mean, innovations right now for mental health and mental wellness are just exploding.
Good.
And I got to say, Lynette and I were talking at lunch yesterday about, she is a true believer that, in every bad, there's a good. And I think that the explosion in resources of people who are struggling emotionally, coinciding with what's happening here with COVID, the isolation that it has created is an incredible moment of coincidence that these two things would be there together. And I'm happy to say that a lot of the people I talk with on the suicide prevention forums are having Skype, Zoom groups talking about anxiety disorders, Zoom groups. Situations are happening that would have never been created had this situation not occurred.
Yeah.
These are isolated individuals anyway. recluses,
Yeah.
and kind of a running joke when this all happened in like March, everybody in the mental health industry was laughing because we're all used to being, hiding in our homes and never going out to be around anyone. And this is our life, and everybody else is flipping out because they can't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was kind of it was like a running joke. This is same old for them. This is what they do. But now they're so connected. It's very strange. I'm definitely, I was struck by how little escalation I saw in the forums in the aftermath of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I thought this would like, oh my God, I can't even be on there enough. Everybody's just going to be going completely nuts. That's really not how it's turned out.
Yeah.
Everyone's creating these ways to connect now. Now they've got permission to be at home and be a recluse.
Mm-hmm.
And so all kinds of incredible innovations in mental health are really kind of being born from this crisis. I would never, ever say, let's do that again because these are good things or whatever. I would never want to go through this again.
Right.
But I am a big advocate for trying to see some bright sides in an incredibly dark situation. And that is one aspect that has been created and it's kind of exploding right now. So that's pretty cool.
It almost feels like the entire world is being put through a mass therapy session right now. It's remarkable.
And I'm so happy that we're all sitting here because I wish more people would talk openly, not about what we can all see, which is that, yes, these places are shut down and we need to talk about money and resources, but there's like a deeper thing here. And to me, the deeper thing, the deeper message is, like I said before, we're in grief. We as a nation, we as a species have been put through an incredible shock and it's not over. Our whole way of life is threatened and we're in deep grief, and to pretend like we're not, to pretend like, just go carry on, you can do that. We can just push on and not talk. But to me, then we miss the opportunity to really learn something from this and take a moment and step back and reflect on many things that we've learned in the midst of this crisis. The money stuff, it'll all get resolved. Eventually things will reopen. These are all physical things. I'm talking about heart here. Yeah. I think so many people are brokenhearted.
Yeah.
Their spirit is broken. We're like walking woundeds, and we need to talk. We need to share so that there's no shame in saying, I'm shook. I was expressing to Patrick, I have friends that I've worked with for years. They've completely quit their jobs so that they can stay home with their kids. They're terrified to send their kids to school. These are very difficult choices we're all having to make here. Choices that, gosh, had this thing never happened, we'd never be making choices like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't even imagine the toll this is going to take on our young people, on our kids. The idea, being 13, 14 years old and mom is telling you, look, go to school, but be constantly worried that you're going to get something and bring it home and it's going to kill me or your dad.
Yeah.
Put that in a kid's head.
Yeah.
This is going to change who we are going forward. And that's not something small. And I think we all need to really step back from all the obvious stuff and really reflect and get very conscious about what we're all sitting inside of so that we don't get like run over by it and we don't know who we are anymore. And we've lost who we are. That's what I worry about. I really do.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear all of your opinions about like what you're going through, how you're feeling, if any of this resonates with you.
Every single word, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we this is a daily chat that we have,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, but please talk, to people who, let's just say someone's going to be watching this that really is struggling with deep hopelessness. Chad, let's start with you. I mean, how do you deal with those feelings? Do you have those kind of feelings? I mean, that's the whole point, that I'm making here, is that if you don't mind being kind of transparent and just, bearing your soul a little bit, so that it might help somebody not feel ashamed that they're having those kind of feelings.
Yeah, no, I think I've been through a lot of this, long before this whole mess started with COVID. It took me. There was a podcast that I listened to called the Hilarious World of Depression. It's actually really.
Yes, I'm familiar.
You know that one? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of the guy. It's a comedian who hosts it, but
yes,
just listening to other just these brilliant speakers, because he typically has comedians on to talk about their struggles with depression and anxiety and things like that, and just understanding how normal it is to feel that way, and that
it is.
There's so many people, I think, who suffer from it, that they feel ashamed, because I know I often just didn't feel like, I didn't want to trouble anybody with what I was going through, because I just felt like I was putting my burden on somebody else. Like, well, this is my problem to figure out.
That's kind of common.
That's kind of, I think, the attitude my generation has kind of grew up thinking that. I don't know. Is it? Do you think is that a Generation X thing, or am I alone in thinking that?
I think so. I think it's the question of that. We were kind of raised to kind of not necessarily defend for ourselves, but to kind of take responsibility for what because I think we're almost the last of that generation maybe that's not being coddled to. So we put a lot on our own shoulders, including the way we feel about certain things, including the way we want to share or not share information. Because like you said, it's like I kind of feel the same way. It's like, you don't want to trouble somebody with your own trouble. Just go and figure that out. That's I think how we were raised. Like, you got a problem, go figure it out. And not necessarily that's the right way to do it, but that's just the kind of way we are.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, just from, I'm kind of a lone wolf. This is something that runs in my family. My dad, one of the most powerful things my dad told me years ago is you cannot do it alone. You cannot. He just repeated it like a mantra to me, and that has been ringing in my head my whole adult life. And like as I get older, I understand more and more what he was saying, because
exactly.
People, my dad and I were much the same, in that the more time we spent alone, if we spent too much time alone, we'd get in these cyclical, circular ruminative. Whatever the word is, the ruminating, obsessive thoughts.
Right.
And,
I mean, the way we talk about that in therapy or on the forums is that you're always going to answer your own questions with the same answer. Mm-hmm. And so you're always going to stay stuck in whatever your reasoning process is. And it's not until someone challenges you with a different way of negotiating with your own thoughts that you're ever going to escalate and elevate to something a little bit higher. You're always going to answer your own questions with the same answer because you think how you think.
Right.
But the beauty in all of us bearing our souls and saying, yes, I struggle with these things. I'm just like you. I've always been a loner, and in my opinion, it ended up being to my detriment. And I really did need to open up more and listen to people's advice, listen to, just have that openness. And I think you've achieved that same thing. You've kind of come to that same conclusion.
Yeah. Yeah.
You will always end up in the same place because you're always going to, you're going to soothe your grief with the exact same salve, and it's not until you open up and let other people bless you, touch you, love you, that it opens up whole new parts of you that you didn't even know ever existed.
Yeah.
Well, so in your opinion, tell me about your journey through this uncertain process. What's your thought process through all of this, Chad?
Through this, what we're going through now?
COVID, through the uncertainty of your life. You don't have to go into an encyclopedia, but just in brief, how are you dealing with some of the anxiety going on and the uncertainty?
To be honest, just staying busy, I think, and staying in contact. Like my mother and I talk every day now. That's one thing, because That's
tiny little things trying to see the best in something.
And it's something we just, we used to, we always would see each other like once a week and maybe have one phone call, a week, 'cause that was just general. Now it's like, it's like, okay, what time is it? I got to get my call into mom, before it gets too late, and it's just,
that's beautiful.
It's just funny with the daily conversation. You'd think we'd run out of things to talk about. Nope.
But you don't.
There's always something.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's really huge. She's going to take those memories with her whole life.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
But beyond that, we've, as a band, we've, it's funny that I think we've, in some ways, been busier than ever these past few months with all the different projects we're doing. Obviously, we're finishing an album finally, and this podcast has become a weekly routine that we look forward to. And so I've been spending a lot of time learning new things, and so that's kind of helped me keep my head on straight. So same to you, Patrick. Same question.
Same question.
How are you navigating through all this emotionally?
Yeah, my whole life has been just a series of what just seemed like I passed one addiction on, just traded it off to the next. And luckily, the addiction that I've hit now is running, and I've just been doing that for so long, and it came, 2013 maybe, 2013 or 2012. That's when the kids would say to me, "Have you run today?" I go, "No." Why do you ask? Well, you're throwing shit, and you look like you're gonna hurt somebody.
Yeah.
And so my thing has always been just kind of push it to the next. So don't drink anymore. No hard drugs. No, but so I kind of trade that in for coffee and running and but in navigating this, because like I said, I'm very aware of how other people are reacting and how you can see it in their faces. You can see it in the we've only, since March, we've played 3 shows, maybe, we've
definitely
done,
count them on one hand.
Yeah, we've done next to nothing. And I can see it in our expression on our Facebook when we play or when we do the live stream or any of that crap. So my focus and where I kind of find normalcy or find that island, that little place to go to is when I can do music or do exercise or something. But I have to. It seems like I have to physically beat myself up to climb out of to climb out of
physical energy.
To make the stuff swirl and jump and it has to be moving. It has to be.
Yeah. So what are you feeling, Patrick? Like going forward, what are you planning? Are you planning?
Well, I can't say much online on the. I don't. I'd be arrested in my house if I. No, in all honesty, what I'm planning is I'm just, and again, I've always been the bright side, positive. And a lot of the times to my own detriment, just I always see, everything's going to come back and it's going to be, well, so like Chad said, we're finishing the record and it's I'm planning on that next step being jumping back in the van and just going.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be like it was when we stopped touring, but again, we don't take no for an answer. We're very,
persistent.
And I mean, not Cosby, like I'm talking about like rock and roll. We just don't take no for an answer, and we're gonna make that stuff work.
Yeah.
So it really is. You have to be positive. I have to be positive. I have to see the good that's gonna be available.
Yeah.
The back to where we were, because otherwise, I think with the energy that I have, it really could turn dark quickly. You know?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't experienced that, but I imagine I could if I stopped, like you were saying, you're talking to yourself inside your head and you're going to get the same answers. You're going to get, of course you are, so yeah. I don't want one of those answers to change just a little bit and we get to,
exactly. Well, I would definitely love to pose the same question. I cannot see.
Eric is over here. He's still.
Yeah, I would love to hear the same question. Like, how are you navigating? Where's your head's at? How are you feeling going forward? And how do you negotiate when you do get anxious, when you do get extremely worried? How do you ground yourself?
That first week when we had played, I think we played Saturday and then we played Sunday, and then basically the whole world shut down. This is right back in March, I think. And we did a live set on St. Patrick's Day just because it was a crime to not play on St. Patrick's Day. The next 7 to 10 days were pretty fucking dark for me. I can't qualify
for
how
millions
Chad
of people,
Patrick were feeling, but I know that was probably, and I've been through some stuff and I've been divorced 3 times, but that was probably the darkest period of my life, I think. I wasn't contemplating doing anything. I just didn't know what to do with myself.
Exactly. Exactly.
I have a partner, luckily, and so she and I kind of worked. We talked, and she was still working and stuff like that. So I think we helped each other. Just leaning on each other, and of course, being able to still see Patrick and Chad, and once a week doing this, doing the podcast and whatnot has been, I think, therapeutic for all of us. Chance to get together, and while we don't necessarily take the podcast down the darkest of roads, we have been able to kind of discuss how we were feeling and what we were seeing and how we were going to react to that. So that's been definitely a plus. As far as things to keep myself motivated and occupied, I've been practicing more. I've been reading a lot more, which I love to do anyway.
Yes.
We have a little pool in the backyard, which has been kind of very therapeutic to, all right, it's 1:30, let's go in the pool. And we sit in the pool and relax and listen to music and stuff like that. So, so it's been a weird transition because, I finally, maybe a year and a half ago or so, quit my job to really take that step to be a full-time musician, when I had been kind of like you, working 40 hours a week and still gigging as much as I could. Finally decided
I did that for a long, long time.
Finally decided to, jump off that bridge and
it's so funny. Like, I was in my 30s then, and I cannot even imagine having the energy to do that now. I don't know where I got all the energy. I really don't.
It's ridiculous to be able to think that, we people, we did that, so.
Yeah.
But, just being able to lean on people has been a plus, and reaching out to people that maybe you wouldn't necessarily, call on a regular basis, but be like, hey, I wonder what so-and-so's up to. Fucking call them, see what's up.
Yeah.
So,
And that's also important because, we've discussed, you just don't really know how deeply some people are feeling about all this. I mean, we're all anxious, we're all in grief, we're all worried, but there are those among us who are completely shut down. And really in need. And one of the main reasons I'm so grateful to be here, and thank you, Patrick, for inviting me, is to just talk about some resources that people can go to if you're really struggling, completely anonymous, where you can chat in real time with people that can help you get grounded, help you kind of get your head on straight a little bit. AFSP.org is a main hub for, not just suicidal depression, but anxiety disorder. That main place can direct you to multiple resources, completely private. If you do feel like you're just really not yourself, because to me, that's the beginning of a very dangerous territory. When you know that you are just not yourself, you cannot find any joy whatsoever in your daily life, and you just need a little help. I just wanted to talk about two major resources, the AFSP.org. The other one is this one forum that I'm mostly affiliated with. It's called Suicide Forum, but that's really not true. There is so many different chat groups in there. There's LGBT, anxiety, anorexia, eating disorder, like everything that you could imagine. Yeah. And you can chat in real time with a mentor. Wow. Or you can chat with other participants on the forum. And I mean, I'm talking 24/7. This is a forum that is constantly monitored. You will not get attacked by trolls. You can completely be free and express yourself either in private or in public forums, and just kind of, get directed to resources where you can get some relief, and just be reminded that you're not alone in your struggles. So many people are just really, really struggling with everything. And there's no shame in admitting that you are out of your depths and you just need some help.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful to have the opportunity to talk about those resources that, I'm very directly connected with, that are so valuable to people.
Well, I have to say I'm more enlightened in this, in these few minutes of talking. It's happening, and it's happening. It seems to be happening at a greater rate. Like you're talking about the servicemen and the servicemen and women, and these and the police, and these people that have just these incredibly stressful jobs that end up feeling, just because you can't do that job and come home and be, just be Mr. or Mrs. Normal. You've got to take that home with you, whether you like it or not. And the strongest, most agile, mind has to, some of that's going to come home and, it's not going to leave. And because I remember, this is back in the aviator days. We have Cindy and I could talk in code. This isn't code. I'm just saying we could just these names of clubs.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about all that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That takes us back to 91.
Yeah. Yeah. So and Bob's my neighbor. Bob.
I was just texting with him yesterday, actually.
Oh, cool.
Aviators, the whole building is leveled now.
Good.
I don't know if you knew that.
Good.
It's a vacant lot now with a phone number and a real estate company on it.
Yeah, I bet you it still stinks like smoke though. That's the only place where you had to go in and actually fight through the smoke. You had to, punch your way in and out. Yeah. But anyway, but I remember one of the people that worked with us, and he was a barback for us, and he I guess achieved suicide, but much later. I knew him for a long time. I didn't really know him as a person. When he was there, but we started to get to know each other later, and I had no idea. And again, I've never been into heavy drugs, so I wasn't able to see any signs for it. But I say all that to say this. This is a normal, good-looking, young, healthy guy that ended up and just seemed to have, just seemed to know where it was going and steady job for a long time. And then when stuff starts to fall off, and in retrospect now I can look back and see, these things were falling apart, but it seems now, because that was my one example from back then. Yeah. That I said, wow. And again, in fairness, he did move out of state, and that's where he ended it all. But it seems to be happening on such again, I don't know. I wasn't involved in it back then, but now it just seems like it happens a lot more. And like you were saying, these young kids, these children that are not, they're still wet. Essentially, they're talking about nothing to live for. It's just what. Yes. It doesn't make any sense. It's got,
and that's what inspired me to take action and really go public with my own struggles. And I think everyone should, anyone that's really struggled with deep, debilitating depression, even in the most common settings, just having a little openness to sort of being real, You know, you don't have to walk up and say, hey, you know, and get deep with perfect strangers. But, you know, I get pretty deep pretty quickly with the people I work with. I work with the same people, and they all know, you know, me, I'm go deep or go home. Because, you know, to me, life is not a joke. The decisions that we make every day are a direct reflection of our desires. You know, there is no small choice. You know, it's a small choice which loaf of bread you grab. But for the most part, we're making really important decisions all the time and not even really conscious of what we're doing or what the way we behave around people we work with. You know, in your case, it would be many of your fans, many of the people that you deal with surrounding your career, and having that willingness to just kind of be real and get a little bit below the surface. You would be surprised what an impact that makes, helping other people feel at ease to do the same thing, to be more real, more grounded. And really, with everything that has happened in the last 6 months, where I feel like I'm in a parallel universe. I mean, for months I would wake up in the morning and I'm like, am I still in that horrible dream? Is that real? I mean, I couldn't even believe my life. I could not believe the reality of what's really happening here. Yeah. And so I think we're all kind of suspended in time. We're just going through the motions, getting through this, but we're still inside of this. And we all have all kinds of feelings that are unsettling, and we're worried, and, you know, just creating that little opening where we can be a little bit more real with each other, and just kind of connect, because there's nothing to be ashamed. It's total human nature to be worried and concerned and not yourself in a situation like this. And we can all help each other by just creating that openness. No judgment, you know. No one has a right to judge in a situation like this, because we're all up against it, and this is far from over, and we just have to get each other's backs here. Yeah. And be good human beings to each other. Kindness, you know.
Yeah, I think it's tremendous. I Cindy, I'm just blown away with, because initially this isn't what we talked about. We didn't talk about. I know. This this wasn't the reason to bring you on, but this is so important. And I have to say that you know, and of course with Eric and Chad, it's you know, obviously we've been working together for a long time, so I knew. But at the same time, you know, when I called them up and said, hey, it's September, it's, you know, Suicide Awareness Month, and, you know, and they're both like, yes, this has to, and, you know, of course I shouldn't be shocked. I should know, but like I say, I know them, but we are, again, blown away that you're, the great work you're doing. And
thank you.
Oh, it really is. And just like the last thing you said, just be nice to each other. I mean, just start there. Start there, you know, with the you know, because it's just the little things. And I've been doing this with my kids for years, that, you know, leave the place better than you found it. You know, just, you know, when you go in and you talk to the waiter, or you talk to the shopkeeper, or you talk to the attendant, where just leave them with a smile, you know, just start there. And if everybody does that, I mean, I'm not going to do it. The rest of you have to do it, but you know, but you know, you start there, and it's just the you know, that's the reason for my positive. You know, you just and don't be the thank you, have a nice day. Thank you, have a nice day. Thank you. Not that. Right. Be yourself, even if it's only one word. Phenomenal comedian, Doug Stanhope.
I know him. Cool. He's incredibly irreverent and an incredibly funny person.
Yes. So his thing was, and he was in some store where it just didn't apply at all, and his line was, and hold the onions. And it was just perfect because it cracked up the shopkeeper, and it cracked up, you know, his mother was with him at the time. And that was.
Are you still in touch with him, Patrick?
I'm not in touch with him at all. No, I hope to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just finished his book, and I've loved his stand up from the first word he uttered. You know, Yeah, incredible.
He's
But
hilarious.
that's the again with in Blaggards too. We have that very silly, very Chad's got the very quick, dry wit. Eric's got the same, but he's got that little dad humor thing going.
Yeah.
And it really is. It gets very silly very quickly, but it's very refreshing because it's not regurgitated jokes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not the same, just stuff over and over and over and over. So we're and the fact that we're able to communicate, you know, quickly and sometimes not so quickly.
Yeah.
But and make it interesting. You know, we've been doing this like this is our 84th episode of doing this thing, and we're just. It blows my mind. I wasn't, you know, I don't do anything 84 times. Nothing, you know. So,
yeah, it's wonderful though. What a fantastic opportunity. I mean, when would you ever sit around like this and have a discussion about anything? About anything. And I looked at all the topics that you've had going backwards, and it's so necessary to create these outlets for expression. You know, like I said, we're all feeling so much shit right now, and no one's really being real about anything.
Yeah.
And it definitely puts people in a kind of an altered state of consciousness, you know, where you're just kind of going through the motions and not really being real. And, you know, everyone's story, I feel, and not to rewind the tape a tad, but back when I was really struggling deeply at my worst, there were a few people in my life that, thank God, were sprinkled into my reality that were incredibly inspirational beings to me. And they never knew it. I mean, they had no idea the profound impact that their presence in my life made. And it wasn't until years later, when I'd gone through recovery and was in a whole different frame of mind, that I could really connect with them and say, you know, you were such a huge force for good in my life. Yeah. And thank you for being you. You know, thank you for being such an authentic, kind, compassionate person. You have no idea what it meant to me at that time. You know, and so all of us, you guys, me, you know, we all have an imperative to just be our story, tell our story, be real, authentic, kind people, because you just never know. You could be the inspiration that is getting someone out of bed every day. I mean, I know for sure, Patrick, that there are so many people that you are such a blessing to their lives and have been for so many years. You've had such an incredibly kind heart, such a good soul, and I just applaud you for it.
You're very sweet.
Now that I have this opportunity to tell you that.
You're very sweet. That's very nice to say. I have to say too, and I don't want to kick myself if I didn't, but I also think that you, when you and Rick got together. Cindy's partner, Rick Valdez, we were talking about before the cameras, before we wired everything up today, where Rick's just not just an amazing drummer. So for all the people that know us from the Richmond Avenue days and the Richmond Strip days, Rick was the drummer for Rat Ranch for 2,000 years, 8,000 years.
I think 16.
Yeah, something massive.
16
and he
years.
was just the great thing about Rat Ranch was I said that they were the best cover band on the Strip, just hands down, and we saw them all. I mean, and of course, Cindy, you booked them, so you saw how popular, right? Yeah. But the nice thing about Rat Ranch was they weren't and I'm not going to mention any names, but they weren't they weren't the band that was just too loud and too late and too obnoxious and too useless and too blah 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 on and on. But the thing about it was they were so, you know, with Richie the sound guy, and Dave Stimson and Kent Newman, of course, and Malcolm, and they were the easiest and the most approachable of all those bands.
Right. Yeah.
And then Rick was the quiet one of the quiet band. You know, those guys that never, you know, You know, they like if I was in I'm in a band, but if I was in a band at that time, I'd knock shit over and I'd, you know, I'm here. Not these guys. And then Rick is the quiet.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they were all kind of quiet, but Rick, and I have to say, just not only an incredible drummer, just one of the nicest, most soft spoken. And you talk about big heart and big, you know, so what a delight, you know, when you two got together for, you know, because, you know, of course I knew
and he's still, you know, he's not playing out anymore, but he's teaching now and teaching other young kids, you know, with dreams of playing. And so he's teaching at a conservatory here in Katy every weekend and sort of like planting the seed in other young people to get out and play and embrace music in their lives, because there's so many great reasons to, if you have that talent and you have that desire to pursue that. It's such a great thing to put into a child's life.
Oh, yeah. Yes, you know, indeed.
So
I'm thrilled. It's a delight to talk about something so dark and but so necessary. It's such a, you know, you don't have to be on a window ledge to need this.
Yes,
you know, you might just be gripping the steering wheel too tight, or you might just be speaking a little bit too loud, or, you know, it's so necessary. And it's just, I think it's such a wonderful tool that you've given these people, you know, this forum, this, like you said, the you know, and these links, these 24-hour a day links where they can go and get help at any moment.
Right.
And to take the stigma of any kind of, you know, weirdness away and put it, you know, just it's invaluable, and it's again, it speaks to your character too. It's just such a wonderful gift, you know, for you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I appreciate that so much, you know, and I will, when we're done here, I will send you all the links that you can post when you know, do the podcast.
Please,
so people can click on those, and straight away you can be speaking with someone in real time that can help you kind of just calm yourself, center yourself, direct you to other resources. I mean, there's just a multitude of ways now to get help. If you're just feeling like you just kind of, you know, getting off course, like a lot, to where you just fundamentally know that you need some help. This is things you can't get past on your own. You know, and there's no shame in it. There's no judgment. It's just an incredibly kind space where people who love and have history with these same issues can kind of embrace you and get you off in the right direction. Yeah,
it's a beautiful, beautiful tool for such a crappy, you know, moment in time. You know, really. What an oasis. But I think it's incredible, and we have to have you back on again because of the other thing that we cannot mention.
Right.
I did mention it. I did mention it when we had stuff wired up, but it was before the thing, and we're going to cut it out. But we must. So
I'd be happy to come back anytime. Just let me know. If there's anything I can contribute that might be helpful or meaningful, I will definitely do that.
Yeah, well, definitely that thing that we shall not mention. That has to happen. That has to happen. I'm so excited. But this has been tremendous. We're so grateful to you, and again, just our many years of friendship to be able to just drop back in like this, like it was, you know, like we were just, you know, just out in the patio at Outback, you know, just crazy.
I know, true. Yeah.
Just so crazy. But we you know, we thank you, and everybody thanks you, and we'll have those links, and I think it's a tremendous service that you're giving.
Thank you for giving me this outlet to kind of just talk. And, you know, I do want to add very quickly about my book. It is currently under construction. It's unpublished at this moment. I'm doing some edits and stuff, and it will be updated and re-edited at the beginning of next year.
Okay.
I actually released the book in March of 2018, and it did very, very well. I mean, shortly before the end of last year, it was actually doing really well in Tokyo. I don't really, it had a big splash in the United Kingdom, and then it was doing well in Tokyo, and everything was going really well, and then it all kind of crashed down with COVID. So I decided to take advantage of that opportunity to kind of unpublish it, do some small edits that I've been wanting to do. And so that's kind of what, at this moment you can pre-order it. And the new edited version will be available January 1st of next year.
Great.
Cool.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
just wanted
Beautiful.
to add that, if you go to Amazon, there's like one used copy of it that I think they're trying to sell for $32. But you cannot buy my book right now. It's in the garage getting a few small repairs.
Yeah. Wonderful.
But it will all be, but Suicide Talks is very much alive. And at least once a week, I'm in there like updating all the most recent news, all the most recent links to resources so that you constantly know. Forums that are happening. There are digital presentations happening where people are talking about mental wellness. Obviously, this is just such an incredible situation. And so I just appreciate you giving me this opportunity to kind of direct people to some resources that could be helpful.
Yeah, and couldn't come at a better time. So
yeah, agree.
Yeah,
agree.
I know. Well, we'll definitely do it again. And I just and thank you, Rick, for running production over there. And,
I will tell him he's off. He's still having coffee. It never ends.
Good man. Good man. Well, so we have to have both of you over here so we can have coffee, and we don't even need to have cameras on. We just need to come out and hang out.
That would be a great discussion.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
That's another one for the other, for another time as well, is the Richmond Strip. That place on its own, my God, there's not just scars, and there's so many stories, and we'll just have to come up with aliases for everybody, because
I'm totally up for that. Yeah. Just let me know. We'll both get involved in that.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, my dear. Well, thank you so much, and we can't wait to see you in person.
You.
Keep up the good work.
Same to you. Talk to you soon.
Definitely.
Thank you, Cindy.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Cindy.
Bye.
Thank you.
Wow.
Heavy stuff. Heavy stuff to start the day.
But worthwhile.
Yeah.
I think it might be good to really kind of push this one to share with as many people as we can, to be like, hey, this is a tough subject, but it's definitely time to talk about it.
Yeah.
We've been in this thing for fucking 6 months now, so
yeah,
and I'm sure that you guys do the same thing. You go from gonna be great to this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
To hey, it's gonna be okay. To oh Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And sometimes that quickly.
Yeah.
That
seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
There's no there's no end to it. There's no okay, if we just make it to here, we're okay. It doesn't work.
I think that the biggest problem that we're having, and I'm speaking for the general population of the world, maybe, is that it's uncertain. Like you just said, is like there's no like, all right, we get to November 1st, we're done. And they talk about there's a chance of a vaccine coming up. Well, there's no guarantee that even is going to solve the problem. Right? And the short term is like, what's going to happen to us? What's going to happen to businesses that are still closed? What's going to happen to all the clubs that we play in? And it's something we talk about every single week, as well. So it's just the uncertainty of, especially, where they are, what those clubs are able to do and able to not do, and restaurants and other businesses and stuff like that. So the uncertainty is the worst part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
To break the stream, do you have a Crown Royal story for us?
Oh,
the Crown Royal story? Oh, Jesus Christ!
That was something extremely different.
Completely different.
Yeah.
The year was 1991. So, back in my college days, I had sort of gotten into drinking whiskey once in a while, but I didn't really enjoy it. But I did it, kind of a thing. And our good friend Bob Mills, Bob from up north.
Hi, Bob.
Hello, Bob.
Oh, yeah.
Haven't talked to you in a while, Bob. Hopefully you're doing well. I'll reach out this week and just see what you're up to. Since we both share our birthday, actually. Our birthdays are September 16th.
Coming up next
We're the
week.
same exact age, and I think we are. I think we're the same age. Yeah, I think we are. Yeah.
He looks
we
a
are.
lot
We are
younger.
the same age. Yeah. So I was in my senior year at Plymouth State College in New Hampshire, and Bob was going to Laconia Tech to get his degree in electrical to be an electrician, basically. And he started college a little bit late. His program was only 2 years, but he started a little bit late. Anyway, it was my spring break, my senior year, and I was so fucking broke. I had like $6 or $7 to last me the whole week. And Bob called me up and said, "Hey, you're on spring break." I said, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm not, but come down and hang out." I said, "Okay, nothing else going on." So I drove down to Laconia, just a half an hour away. And I stopped at the store and bought a 6-pack of beer. I figured I'd bring some beer. And so I bought a 6-pack of Budweiser Pounders. Those are 16-ounce cans for you keeping track at home. And at that time in 91, they were like $3.60 for a 6-pack. I thought, this is great. I got money left over to eat something, for $4 or whatever I had left in my pocket. Get to Bob's house, and he's like, I have this whiskey we can drink. And I'm like, great, what is it? He's like, it's called Jenkins. And at that time in New Hampshire, Jenkins was kind of the catch-all. They made a whiskey, they made a rum, they made a vodka.
Like
they
Heaven
made a
Hill.
triple sec. Yeah, they made like taco or whatever. I mean, like they made everything. And it was like, back then, it was probably $6 a bottle, for whatever. And so we decided we'll drink these 6 beers and we'll do shots of whiskey in between, and we'll talk and we'll listen to music, we'll hang out, we'll have fun. So we did that for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And then, we went to bed at whatever time, just completely fucking smashed and just on this really nasty whiskey. Wake up the next morning and Bob's like, "Oh, I gotta go. I gotta take a test." So he had to actually go to school and take a fucking exam in something electrical related. And I was like, that sounds terrible.
Jeez.
And I had, of course, we both had these like just pounding headaches. And I was like, I gotta go back. I gotta get back to I was staying in the dorm, which was kind of during spring break. You weren't supposed to because no one was supposed to be on campus. So I was like, I'm just going to sneak back into my dorm and just chill out. And I remember like getting in the car. I'm like, man, I'm still drunk, but I got to get home. And so I need some water and I need some Tylenol or some headache stuff. So I pull over to the convenience store, get a little bottle. They actually had these like little mini milk jugs, plastic milk jugs of water. The bottled water thing wasn't really a thing like it is now, And that was like, I think 75 cents for that. And then they had like the little 2-pack of aspirin behind the counter for like none of that. So okay, I still got money. So I can afford this. But then by then I was like, okay, I got like $1 left or whatever. Get in the car, take the aspirin, take the water, start driving again. And all of a sudden, stomach starts kind of churning a little bit. I'm like, this is not good.
I know.
And then all of a sudden, I was like, I rolled the window down while I'm driving, throw up out the window as I'm driving, quickly pull over because here comes round 2. I leap across the seat. I had this little weird Toyota Tercel station wagon. Hit the emergency brake, leap across the seat, throw up again on the ground, and I look down and the 2 aspirin are there on the ground. They didn't come up in the first wave. So I fucking grabbed them and took them again and drank the water. Like, because I had a headache. Like, that's the only money I had was spent on these last 2 aspirin. This is when you pour, when you pour, you do shit like that.
Yeah.
Get back to my dorm room, grab a chair, like a plastic chair from the lobby, put it in the shower, sit in the shower, let the water cascade until the water ran cold. And this is for the entire dorm. So I was in that shower for like 2 hours, just sitting there, just water.
You used up everybody else's hot water.
No one else is there because it was spring break. I was
Okay.
by myself.
Yeah.
So here's where the Crown Royal kicks in. Remember that, me and Bob drank all night long, sick as a dog. And that's the one thing, like if you go through, and everybody has this, they go through a period in their life when they drink something and they say, I'm never drinking that again. For my friend Melissa, it was peppermint schnapps. For somebody else, it's tequila. For so-and-so, it's rum. Or Alan Hill, it's rum. He can't drink rum anymore. That was in March of 91. Okay. Christmas time, 1991. Back home, visiting my family back in Colebrook. That's where Bob lives. Bob's family lives there. Bob comes over for Christmas to hang out for a little bit. And what does he do? He brings me a bottle of Crown Royal. This is after I've sworn off I'm never drinking whiskey again, because if I even think about it, I'm going to throw up.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw up. Okay. Bob's like, Merry Christmas. And he buys me a bottle of Crown Royal, which is a much better whiskey than Jenkins, of course. And
I love that.
And my stomach is just like, even looking at the little velvet bag it comes in, my stomach is just going, maybe he'll just leave it and we can drink something else and I won't have to look at this bottle again. What does he do? He pulls it out of the, let's have a drink. Got a couple glasses, we're in my parents' kitchen and it's Christmas time. We're hanging. I'm like, yeah, this will be great. And so he breaks the seal and we pour a glass and it's cheers. Like all the emotions, all the emotions and the motions going through. Somehow I had managed to, I think I choked it down and then grabbed like a beer really quick and just like chased it and was just like, kind of a thing. So that's the Crown Royal story. It's one of those things where it's just like, it's like an O. Henry thing. Like, that like this is going to destroy you. And then it appears.
Yeah.
And you have to accept that gift. And I didn't want to hurt Bob's feelings. So I believe that Crown Royal sat in the cupboard for I think until my parents moved out of that house, which was in 1994.
Wow.
So 3 years later, I think it finally went with them or they gave it to somebody or something like that. But I never drank it again. I did start drinking whiskey, not on a full-time thing, but with Jesse. When I was playing with Jesse, Jesse would drink a lot of bourbon. And so here comes a tray of shots for the band. So he didn't want to be rude. So I managed to get it down. Went through a period just a couple of years ago when I tried to be an adult. I'm like, I'll just drink bourbon drinks because those are what adults drink. And I just couldn't do it. Can't do it. Bourbon, can't do it. Jameson, I'm okay with. Tullamore Dew, the Irish stuff. Yeah. I'm okay. But even then, I don't even drink that very often. Hardly ever,
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. It's just like growing up and making choices like you did, or like maybe Chad, you went through a thing where like, I'm not ever drinking that again. And that was 91. And I didn't start drinking whiskey again until 2012.
Wow.
That's a long 13. That's a long time to really avoid something.
Wow. Yeah. No, for me, it was just learning what quantities to avoid.
Well, I mean, when you're young, you're like, fuck it, I'm invincible or whatever. And
right.
It turns out that I was not.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially when it's got a name like Jenkins.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
You go to liquor stores in New Hampshire and it would just be like, oh, wait, they make a triple sec. Oh, they make a vodka. They make it. Wait a minute.
Yeah. They make a hand washing soap.
How good can this be?
Yeah. Yeah.
They make a floor wax.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Anyway.
This is a lubricant.
Crown Royal.
For sexual.
Anyway.
Yeah.
A little bit lighter than the
we can make October Crown Royal month. So I've been meaning to ask you about that. I think it's 3 weeks now we've skipped over your story.
That's okay.
But no,
it's mildly humorous.
Yes. So by the time this airs, we'll be creeping up on your birthday.
True.
People will, hopefully everybody will have seen our performance at Sherwood.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And excited.
When
about
is that?
That's
Sunday. Saturday.
It was this past weekend.
Yeah, last Saturday.
Yeah, it already happened.
Oh,
it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's the day before my birthday.
I know. Yeah, we're creeping up on old Eric.
51, baby. 51? Yeah, 51.
Yeah.
Wait, what year is this?
You better be 51 because I'm 51. Yeah.
2020. Yeah, 51.
Yeah. You and I were essentially the same age.
See, 50, you remember it because it's kind of a big deal.
Right. Now it's like...
that was last year, and it was fun. I had a nice party. It was fun. Sorry I didn't invite you guys, but...
It's okay.
You come to my party this year.
Right.
I'm not having
We weren't in the same band list.
That's true. And now look. Yeah. What a difference a year makes. Yeah. That's all I got.
Yeah. Plenty to talk about. So yeah, Sherwood, very, very, very fun. Much fun was had, and got some tips on got some performance tips.
Nice,
which is nice, and yeah, it's,
how to play a show.
Yeah, but the strange thing is, this can only come off one way as being kind of like a hippie. But my God, that Sherwood, the grounds of Sherwood has a real energy to it. There was nobody there. We played to 10 staff,
mm-hmm.
and I gotta say that place has such a great feel to it. I've always loved it because you go there and it's just mobbed, just rain or shine or hot or cold, or doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're just completely. He doesn't know. He hasn't heard it. He's never played.
Rain or shine ain't hard to find it over. The song that we play called Rain or Shine
today. Well,
all I heard was.
Well, in my head, I'm the whole thing is orchestrated.
Yeah. But
your part.
But it's mobbed all the time, and then we're out there, and it's not. But it was still such what a feeling to be in that area. It just it's beautiful, and without the people there was no dust. So that was the amazing thing to me. It's dust free, and my asthma was not even a percentage of what it usually is. And then and Solar Rain, I thought they did an incredible job. They're just
fun.
Just really, really. It's it's one thing to see the people with the lights or whatever, but you see these people, see them doing that with flames. That's something else.
Mm-hmm.
That was tremendous. But yeah, it's just really
the kid that met us at the gate wearing the kilt.
Yeah, Zane.
Yeah, definitely got a nice positive vibe from him.
Oh yeah, Zane is awesome.
Yeah, he was very, very sweet and very nice.
Mm-hmm.
And everything is taken care of. They're just the drinks are there, the pizza's there, the vegans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was nice.
But just always going above and beyond, and just wonderful to be back there. And I know that next year, Celtic Festival will be back on and be in full force, and we'll be. I can't wait to do it again. I can't wait for you to see it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Just at full capacity, because it is a tremendous vibe.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a warm welcome, and it's such an authentic. These people are there for music. That's it.
Yeah, like he was telling you, like it's that last set, the closing set that we play there. That's it's just what was the word you used? Mayhem, hedonism, whatever.
I would never use that word.
Can't even spell it.
By that point, everybody's pretty well, loosened up.
Yeah.
And they're pressed up against the front of the stage, and they're just totally into it. And it's
at that space. Because we had played that. We had played that pirate ship, and then we had played that other weird stage back in February, March.
I forgot about
that was in the campground. So this is so the very same stage we were on.
Okay.
It's just
that'd be
packed.
fun. I'd like to do that sometime.
And the fire dancers will be on either side of the stage doing their thing.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, Sherwood Forest is it's for most of the time it's a Renaissance festival.
Yes,
and they do a Celtic music festival in September.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, obviously, I had to do it virtually, and so hopefully you all got the memo where to go and how to watch it and whatever. But that organization out there, Zane and George, all the crew out there, everybody does such an amazing job in pulling this together and just really keeping the grounds. The grounds are so well kept, and the vendors are, everybody's friendly, and it's there's other festivals here in Texas, and they seem to be just so corporate and so money grabbing. It's not, this is the really the only one I've been to that where it's just been everybody from floor to ceiling is just as nice as you can get.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it was good to be back there, and we we're in the mixing process now of the record. So
all right on.
So this stuff is getting stuff is getting very close.
Mm-hmm.
So if you feel so inclined, have a look at our website and see if there's anything new popping up there, and we'll be hopefully showing some clips for some of the tracks that we're mixing, and put some of those up and kind of keep you posted. See take you along on this long journey with us.
Yeah, just the beginning, in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Is that a wrap?
'Tis indeed.
I think so.
84 out the door.
Wow.
Thank you for listening.
All right. See y'all next
See
week.
you soon.
All right.
Cheers.